A Father's Day tribute to Prince William on his 44th birthday.
And not to be overshadowed by the actual royal family, Meghan Markle copies and pastes her own Father's Day greeting with no mention of Thomas Markle. Welcome to Heirs and Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle.
And I'm Rupert Bell in what is a very hot UK this week. I know if you're in parts of America, you're quite used to 35 degrees, but I can assure you we're not here. But I will have all the news on what is going on in the world of the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Hey, speaking of hot, we saw Prince William today.
Yes, and he's been doing something that's quite important, sort of environmental issues and linked to wildlife and trying to prevent the sort of trade of wildlife. And he's calling on CEOs of big companies to get involved. There's this list of British actors, Benedict, Cumberbatch and Emma Watson were on hand. And basically, Prince William in his speech is saying to CEOs, do what you would like to do if you were still an innocent child and what to try and help the environmental issues. But Kinsey, you have to say that this is him going right, linked to his Earthshot Prize, so we know environmental issues are very keen and clear, close to his heart. But obviously, what we do with environment and dealing with climate change, etc., is quite a political hot potato. So again, it's not unusual. This is quite normal for him, but it is in this country. There's quite a lot of debate, particularly over net zero and everything, with very polarized opinions at times. But at least you know what you're going to get with Prince William. This is his sort of big mission in life, and the Earthshot Prize has been so successful in terms of what he's trying to generate. So it's probably not a total surprise, but maybe.
But also, Rupert, to your point, it's consistent. Whereas Harry is randomly like, anti-Semitism in the UK is bad. And you're like, Nazi costume, Harry? And where did that come from? I know what you're saying, that Prince William risks the wrath of the people that say no politics in royalty. But at the same time, at least it's a consistent message and we're not thrown off by where did this come from?
No, and unfortunately, though, he's not going to get much publicity for it because, as you know, another political earthquake. We change prime ministers as some people have hot dinners at the moment.
We change prime ministers as much, or you change prime ministers as much as Harry and Meghan changes communications people.
I think we changed more prime ministers. I think our track record's not good. So there used to be an old joke. Italy used to change its prime ministers sort of every 6 or 7 months. Well, our politics is sort of heading into that sort of area. If you're a prime minister, if you get 2 years, remember Liz Truss when the Queen died. I mean, I think she did 35 days. So, I mean, we're pretty good at this now. So for William, I'm not sure he's going to quite attract the headlines and the publicity that he hoped to generate in this country, because, you know, the news agenda has moved pretty quickly over the last few weeks. And for royal news and for William, and which I suppose is a bit frustrating because he wants to be out there to be seen to be doing stuff and putting himself, in his case, his head above the parapet. And this is what he's doing. And being, as you say, true to his word. This is what he believes in. But as I say, he's got to navigate with his royal hat on the sort of political waters when you're talking about environmental issues. But we know at the heart of what he's doing, I think most people would agree, you know, to help wildlife and the mistreatment and make sure things are done properly. No one's going to say that's a bad thing.
Yeah, as I was pulling stories for our show, I saw an article about another royal biographer complaining about William's work ethic. I thought to myself, we're not going to have this conversation again. The audience primarily agreed with us that William has taken on a ton of work and we recognize his efforts. But it has to be difficult when a story breaks like Keir Starmer's resignation for Prince William, who is also sometimes seeing those articles come across his desk. and he's trying to prove them wrong. I mean, maybe he's not. Maybe he's such a stallion that he doesn't care. And he's just like, idiot. I don't care
Uh,
what they think. But the fact is that while you and I are trying to defend him out here, there are still people that are complaining that Prince Edward was sent to this after Prince William told his father, no, it's my wife's birthday and she just had cancer. I want to stay at home and be with my family.
Well, yeah, and look, you've got back in the day, no one left for the birth of a family into sort of, right, the woman at home just got on with it. Times have moved on a little bit since then, and there's even a big hoo-ha in the World Cup in America about a player wanting to go back to see the birth of his child, and he's coming into some flack about that. Well, the world has moved on. And so you have to accept that. But for William, this is something that's consistently what he's working with. Look, we know the Princess of Royal is just, she just goes, is on the road as much as she possibly can be and shows no sign of letting up. Prince Edward has stepped up to the plate and does a lot. But I think for William, it is an interesting time. And actually, let's be honest, the King would have been involved in the constitutional and got a call from Keir Starmer this morning about what is happening because the Prime Minister has to keep the King informed. Although
Yeah,
the
he said
King,
in his resignation speech, I spoke to the King this morning. I was like, oh, can you imagine how that call went down? I'm sure that Charles was
well, I
like
think,
a moment of a moment of people not talking about, will I see my son or not? Thank God for the.
well, well, it might have been a distraction, but I think he was trying to put his feet up probably after a long week at Ascot. But I think you know what's been going on in this country, having been here recently, and the political sort of shenanigans going on here. And the King has to be kept informed. He can't actually do anything. If Prime Minister Keir Starmer wants to do something, I think the last time that I was reading, now there will be some people who know their history. I think back in the 1830s, the King decided to promote someone to be Prime Minister. William IV, I think it was, and that is now no longer possible. I mean, some people might say, well, the King needs to get a grip of what's going on politically in this country, but no, he cannot, will not, and won't. But he plays a symbolic role, hence the reason for the call. That is the common courtesy in these circumstances. Now, we wait to see how it plays out, but in terms of William, he probably will be frustrated, but the fact is, Benedict Cumberbatch and Emma Watson turned up, and they will generate headlines and photo ops that make it get some hope in the message. But in a way, as long as if he's pulling together all these, that's William, CEOs from big frontline companies, Google amongst others, then hopefully they listen,
Mhm.
they get on with it. And while we may not have been all over the papers, all over the media, TV, the fact is, at that meeting, CEOs actually go away and back up what he has asked for, then you'll see that it has had some influence. And that's where we might see in 6 months down the line, has this conference, which may not have got as much publicity, achieved what William had hoped for?
Mm, that's a good point. I also immediately think when we discuss this that these are the types of celebrities and star power that Harry and Meghan have struggled to secure over the last 6 years. Also, just back on the point of political power and the lack thereof when it comes to the royal family. One story that broke over the last 24 hours was a Green MP that wants to bring the monarchy under Britain's freedom of information laws. And this could potentially open up access to centuries of royal records. Sources are arguing that it's about transparency. I've been on TV arguing that there are good constitutional reasons those communications were protected in the first place. I mean, what's your take on this? Because the king is expected to advise, encourage, and warn governments in private. That role only works if those conversations remain confidential. Do you jeopardize the king's influence or any future king's influence if they fear that their communication could become public one day?
Well, it would be fair to say the Green Party would not be natural bedfellows with having a monarchy in this country. So you can see where it's coming from.
Zach Polanski, the boob
Yeah, the boob hypnotizer. Yeah,
hypnotizer.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. So therefore, it's not beyond what they're doing. Now, this is all the questions. People the reparations for colonial input, but then someone did say, well, perhaps we should ask the Romans to cough up when they invaded Britain back in 55 BC, and Julius Caesar was going all around the country and the impact that had on. So it is again, it's all political stuff of sort of apologizing and paying reparations. Look, history,
They would
it's
be
happened.
weaponized. What you're saying is they would be
We,
attempting to weaponize history. And
yeah,
this pursuit is an attempt to weaponize history.
that's exactly good turn of phrase. And that's exactly what they are trying to do in saying, look, the royal family are at the heart of some of the problems. Yes, back in the day, it was a very different world. You just have to look. Shakespeare, when he wrote his stuff, it was a different world. And comedy from even 60, 70 years ago, it was deemed funny, but it was around a different climate. The world evolved. So history, what happened in 1850 doesn't really
We're
now
not allowed to
matter.
murder our wives anymore, like
Well,
Mary Anne
I mean,
Boleyn.
what? What's the world coming to? I mean, for goodness sake. I mean, Henry VIII, divorce beheaded, no, what was it? Divorce beheaded died, divorce, divorce beheaded survived. I mean, two went for the chop. It was a pretty brutal existence. He was fairly ruthless in getting, but that's a different era. And then let's be honest, the world has significantly moved on. And history is important and you have to learn from your historical mistakes. So I think, again, it feels like, from a Green Party perspective, and this particular MP, just an easy, cheap shot. Yes, there is a Freedom of Information Act, but is it relevant? Should it be pursued? Most right-thinking people would probably say no. But it is important, and we saw weekend announcements about the King's tax, and he's going to reveal his amount of taxes paid. William has been saying how much rental he pays on his place, and the financial goings on with the Duchy of Cornwall. Those are the kind of things that I do think are important, but they're relevant to the here and now, not necessarily what happened centuries ago. How relevant are they to the modern world? Things like the monarchy's tax arrangements, I do think is important, because it's, again, people paying taxes is very much the forefront of the political agenda at the moment. And I think the King and Prince William understand that there needs to be a degree of transparency when it comes to that.
Yeah, I think both of us agree that transparency going forward is a great idea, but transparency going backwards is a waste of oxygen, is a waste of is a waste of effort, is a waste of it just seems like somebody trying to go back 250 years and say gotcha, and it's like, well, we don't live under the same cultural rules today.
Well, the best use of oxygen this week is for Rod Stewart when he was short of breath at his concert recently in Utah, and then he was, then he carried on. No, 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 no. The guy's 81, but fair play. He still thinks he's sexy.
Yeah,
Do you think I'm sexy? But it's just, I think it must have been hot. But
yeah.
fair play. And then he had a swig, and then he was back. What a trooper! Then he was back on stage belting out his tunes again. The
Keep
show
calm and
must go.
carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play, Rod. But that. But anyway,
Well,
that's
from
sorry.
one sexy daddy to another one, let's talk about Prince William's birthday and Father's Day post. The Princess of Wales shared a never before seen photo of the Prince of Wales and Princess Charlotte. I believe it looked to me like it was taken the day of Trooping the Color, because Charlotte appears
Yep.
to be wearing the same outfit and the same hair. Prince William has yet to start sweating profusely under that big bearskin hat. God love him, God bless him, with a caption that says, "Happy birthday and Father's Day to the best papa in the world. We love you very much. C, G, C, and L." The tribute was captioned with my favorite heart emoji. It's the double pink hearts. Um, it was just a beautiful photo. And I'll give People magazine, Harry and Meghan's favorite publication, credit for 1 second. And it'll probably be the last time I do. But I did love that they mentioned that Princess Charlotte and Prince William look so similar, because it had never occurred to, well, it hasn't occurred to me in a while, since they were teeny tiny. When they were babies, they looked a lot of like alike. But as she's getting older, she looks just like him too, in the best way possible.
Yeah, well, look, it's what people do the world over. People
You're like,
sharing.
kids look like their parents. This isn't
Right,
breaking
yeah, yeah.
news.
Well, hang on. Yeah, I've just sent you some pictures of me when I was four, and Ollie, my son, said, "Look like me." Then my sister-in-law said, "Oh, that looks like your son with Miles, and my son Miles."
Oh,
And so I mean, so I don't know, but when I was four on a little bicycle,
raising hell, raising hell. That's why he was
well,
sent to boarding school.
well, we did have a lovely nanny, Nanny Oldfield, and she was an absolute saint, and loved her to bits. And she took. I suddenly know these photographs suddenly appeared. I'm not that you want to know about this, but
Yeah.
from the other families she went to, she kept these photographs, quite a lot of them,
Of you?
of me and my brother when
That
we were
is
very
so
little.
sweet, Rupert. That means
Yeah,
she loved you.
well, she put up with me. She was a lovely lady, and anyway, it was rather touching. These pictures arrived in the post this morning, and I thought you'd be amused sending you these photographs. But anyway,
Oh, that
I
is so
digress.
sweet, Rupert. I love
Uh,
that she kept those pictures of you. That means that you made an impact on her life.
well, for all sorts of reasons, I'm not quite sure what, but anyway, anyway, she was lovely, and but that was back in the day. But it's about yes, and we come back to Charlotte. She, probably does look like her dad and Louis, and there's bits of all of them, and
No,
then it will
I think
evolve.
Louis looks like his grandfather. I think he looks like Catherine's father.
Yeah, that's true. I see what you're saying there. Yes, a sort of young. We see a young middle to, yeah, yeah, that would make sense. I can see the similarity there. But actually, just nice, and it was his birthday as well, 44. You think, where's the time gone? I mean, if you think we're born in 1982, I mean, it's just hard to comprehend that's how old he is now. Okay, he has lost his hair for some time, but it seems like only yesterday that he was born in my eyes, and now he's 44 with a teenage son now about to go to Eton, and then the other three. So I think it was rather sweet. I think, but done in a very normal. We see her front on,
Yeah.
which is what they do. And not embarrassed because we saw her the week before. You and I were there at the trooping. We saw her, so it's nothing unusual, but it's controlled, as we always say, managed, and with a nice message. And obviously, I don't think they go around calling them in the royal family dad or any of that. It's always a papa is always out there, or something else other than the what most of us call our parents.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think that Harry and Meghan's kids call Harry Papa too, and it's just like
Mm.
Meghan loves cultural appropriation, but I digress. Um, can we also talk about this story that you're not going to care about, but I love? The headline is Princess
Okay.
Charlotte's Jellycat love has inspired King Charles. And the story is that she loves these Jellycats, which are ungodly priced stuffed animals from the UK that my family collects as well. And they have keychains and, bag charms. And King Charles allegedly took notice of how much his grandchildren loved this. In fact, someone gifted some Jellycats to Prince William, and he responded, "My children will love these. They are their currency." And so, inspired by his grandchildren, they created some plushies for the Royal Collection Trust shop. And they're like tea party themed. And Rupert, I have to tell you, before I even knew that Princess Charlotte was the inspo, can you guess who raided the Buckingham Palace gift shop
Is it?
for said plushies? And I can't wait to put them on a Chanel.
Is that? See, Jellycats, you're quite right. I'm going, what the heck is this story? Right? I'm jelly babies. Yes, I know about them. You eat them, right? And you may have a jelly baby of choice, but Jellycats. I don't have grandchildren at the moment, so
Well,
it's
tell Ollie
probably
I'm ready, willing, and able.
move. You're very fickle. Last week it was someone else. But
Matt
yeah.
Wilkinson will always have my heart.
Yeah, well, my son actually is in Las Vegas for the next 3 weeks.
Oh.
But anyway, that's another story. No, he actually is a very, very good poker player. But there we go.
Wow.
Uh, so anyway, but that aside, so you can catch up with him. He was there for 3 weeks. But anyway, we digress. But the Jellycat, I had no idea what you were talking about. So I have to take your word. I don't really have an opinion on this, but
Well, no,
if this is
it's
the
kind of cool that the king is,
oh,
inspired by his grandchildren, and that it's creating, new, fresh, modernized opportunities for people to represent the monarchy. And whether it's a cucumber sandwich keychain on their bag, I mean,
so why is it called a jelly cat? I mean, because
I
you're a
couldn't tell you.
cucumber sandwich. Why is it? What's going on here? Have you not got a keychain of a cucumber sandwich?
I've
Is
never
that
had
all
one
it is?
before. I have one now, but I'd
And
never had.
why is it a
I
jelly
love a
cat?
cucumber sandwich. Well, see, these aren't technically Jellycats. They're inspired by the brand that has blown
Ah,
up. But um, why is it called Jellycat? I don't know. I just know that they're incredibly expensive, like unbelievably expensive. I spent
right.
$70 on a plushy Jellycat that looks like a golden retriever.
Well, your choice. It's a free world. If you wanted to, it's a bit like people buying football shirts and things.
Oh
These
God,
things
I
are
thought you were going to
expensive.
say Beanie Babies, and I was going to be like, the
Well,
audacity.
well, I have no idea what you're talking about again. You
You
see,
don't
until
remember
I have,
Beanie Babies?
what are they?
So
Help me out
Beanie
here.
Babies were those little teddy bears that were full of beans. And remember, there was the Princess Diana Beanie Baby that was purple. And basically, everybody fought like hell to get their hands on the Princess Diana Beanie Baby because it was supposed to be worth. You were supposed to be able to protect this Princess Diana Beanie Baby, put it in a plastic box, and one day be able to buy a house. That's how valuable we assumed this Beanie Baby would be. But alas, you can get it on eBay now for like $3.
Well, what happened to Barbie and Ken? Uh,
Rupert
well,
is
I mean,
so far out of his
uh,
wheelhouse during this
you know,
conversation.
well, my wheelhouse is, I don't know where I've gone. I mean, I was brought up with, what was I brought up with? I can't really remember, but I mean,
Well,
dinky,
bicycles, obviously, because I've seen pictures of you now.
yeah, but little cars. Then probably wouldn't allow to have them now because they probably had masses of lead in them back in the day, so they wouldn't get past health and safety. Then it was Lego, Brio, those sort of things I remember with my children. But what you're talking about, until I have grandchildren, the fads of the younger generation have not hit me yet. So but I'm happy to be. I'd like to know where Jellycats, the inspiration for Jellycats, because someone obviously came up with a really good idea, and actually, how did it germinate into becoming, as you say, an expensive must-have accessory for little children?
I like that you are completely oblivious and are just like, I'm going to post, I'm going to not feign interest until the grandchildren exist.
Yeah.
According to Google, Jellycats is a British plush toy company that was founded in London in 1999 by two brothers. The brand became famous for its ultra soft stuffed animals, and more recently, its whimsical line featuring smiling foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smiling foods and plants and household objects. I don't need a smiling plant. The name Jellycat has a surprisingly simple origin, Rupert. According to accounts of the company's early history, one of the founder's young son combined the word jelly and cat because he thought the idea of a cat made of jelly was funny.
Well, that's probably the best idea. Come up with an idea, and you never know. Suddenly it takes off, and these guys are obviously doing particularly well, and they're evolving their brand. But what it shows, now here's my point. How long have they been big, would you say?
Jellycat. I mean, I've only heard of them in the last like 3 years, and they've existed since 1999.
Right, exactly. That's how long it takes to build up a brand that has real legs.
Oh, wait, here you
If
go.
you
If you've
see,
noticed them everywhere lately, you're not imagining it. Jellycat's popularity exploded in the mid 2020s, fueled by social media collectors and the wildly successful smiling croissants, avocados, coffee cups, and other characters. They also have teacups at Buckingham Palace.
right, you see, here's my point. Now, I'm getting it back to what when we talk about heirs and spares and trying to get back on track from my lack of my ignoramus about jellycats. We're here to educate. What it shows is these two guys come together and it's been a slow burn. Then, for whatever reason, post COVID, there was this explosion in this product. And fair play to the people behind it. But it shows how hard to have a good product to then break through. You can't expect, and I think you know where I'm going with this, to suddenly have your brand resonating because the product has to grow in the mindset and actually word of mouth. Jellycats would have grown, as you say, by word of mouth. And that is the best way that sometimes these children's products, they develop because parents then, the grapevine, suddenly creates an interest in whatever product is. I don't know whether Jellycats have made it into America and whether
Oh, yeah.
they're a
Yeah.
must have. Well,
70
these,
countries, 70 countries.
yeah, well, there we go. That just shows. I mean, I was a Scalextrics man, having motor racing tracks or train sets. Really, that was the sort of extent of where boys would go. It was a sort of, but something like that, very traditional. But I like the idea, not that I understand what Jellycats are about, that they've worked their way into this position where these two, 27 years down the line, are making money through their hard work and endeavors.
And
But it's
inspiring the royal family.
well, yeah, I'm inspired. Actually coming up with interesting things. Look, in 5 years' time, it might not be around. You know the way children's toys sort of it's fashionable for a few years, but they've probably got a 10-year window, and away they go, and hopefully they're making lots of money.
Yeah. I mean, I thought for a second that where you were pivoting was
Mm.
the desperation in Meghan Markle's products and product placement and how seems to be a lack of patience there. We saw just last week that she's got a new collection with Clever Blends, a matcha, and this is after reports that she's got $5 million worth of inventory that she's having a hard time selling. And it does seem to me that her strategy is very whiplashy. If one product isn't generating buzz, she just launches another one. And she treats brand building like speed dating. Jam's not working, moves over to matcha. And there is that lack of patience and discipline that you were just describing.
Well, yeah, and that I think is the point we're trying to make.
Hmm.
Even one of those podcasts that she had, she interviewed the lady who did those shoes, and she talked about was it the shoes, those heels or whatever, those special kind of spanks? Hear
That
me
is
out here.
not a heel. That is
No, 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 no.
that takes care of your
Whatever.
muffin top, Rupert, or it takes care of your muffin. You are, oh, it's not. This isn't a cupcake. Takes care
Yeah,
of your muffin top.
okay. I think I know what you're talking about. You're trying to embarrass me again. But she talked about and shoes, and it was quite actually interesting about how hard it was for this
Wait,
person.
did she launch new shoes? Did Sarah
Oh
Blakely
no, no,
launch
maybe it wasn't
shoes?
shoes. I don't know. It was something. Anyway, one of the
Yeah,
podcasts talked about how this product took time to break through and become then a must-have accessory.
yeah.
And I
It's
think
undergarments. It's
that's
Banks.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, this is what it should be about. And if you flip-flop and you look desperate, then that is a problem. What you have to do is if she thinks her strawberry jam is the best thing since sliced bread, then
Stick to
stick
it.
with it. um, even though we know it's not, or whatever. If you like these Jellycat duo, they must have thought, oh, well, eventually, we believe in this and it will come through, we'll break through. And it may have been 20 years down the line, but it happened. So that is how you build a brand, word of mouth, good quality product, correctly priced, so people don't feel they're being ripped off. Now, you were happy to go to Buckingham Palace and pay whatever you did, and you think, that's fine.
How much did I pay for this?
Um,
Oh, it's just £10. That's not bad. That's so much cheaper than a Jellycat. Oh my gosh.
well, there you go. So,
It is so cute, Rupert. Look at my cucumber sandwich.
well, particularly cute. But anyway, but the point is, we are seeing someone who built a brand up, the royal family like it, whereas Meghan, she's desperate for something to hit the ground and actually break through. But none of her products have really shown that they're anything but the desire for a quick buck, and it's just like many similar products out there, and actually hers aren't particularly good because it's been done by some boardroom and she's just lending her name to it. Um, I would venture to suggest, and she's finding something, saying, "I like to have some wine. I'd like to have some jam. I'd like to have flower
Well, it just
sprinkles."
feels like she looked at what was on sale at Highgrove and
Yeah,
thought,
well,
let me just slap a Meghan Markle sticker on it because it seems like she just is trying to follow the royal template without doing any of the work or having the discipline or dedication that these individuals do to the life of service.
yeah, you can go into the shop in Tetbury, the High Grove shop there, which is full of, all full of the stuff that Meghan would like, lifestyle stuff that comes and it emanates. And that's what she's trying to create. But she's trying to create this sense of Britishness from Montecito when the last thing she really knows is anything about Britishness. And,
And
and,
she
and
rejected it. She rejected it. I mean,
yeah.
the fake curtsy, the
Oh.
exaggerated curtsy on the Netflix series is like the ultimate display of her refusal to
Mm.
respect the culture.
Yeah, yeah, and but she's now trying to create the sort of designer products that have that aura and that British sophistication, whatever that may be. And it's not, as far as I'm concerned, it's not really working.
Missing the mark.
Uh, None that, and whereas, and the way to do it is to work hard, head down, and just say, believe in your product. Make sure you road tested the product. Make sure you absolutely think it's something good that people want, and you expand piece by piece by piece. Instead, she sort of foisted it on us, and I don't think it's selling well. I did
With a
ask, I
lack
think, for
with a lack of commitment, like she could still, knowing her profile, if she wanted to, Rupert, she could be on every morning show, the Today
oh,
Show, Good Morning America, saying, here's our favorite brunch meal. Here's our favorite blah blah blah. It's like she throws things out there and she is so uncommitted, or she pivots to the next thing too soon. Like when you releasing a TV show, podcast, and product, launch within a 3 month span, it's just so schizophrenic.
I'm not dissing shopping channels, but she's these are the sort of products that probably should be on a shopping channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a regular viewer, so and are you a regular viewer of shopping channels?
I am my own shopping channel.
All right,
I'm over
okay.
here for just £10. You too can own a cucumber sandwich keychain.
Hang on. Only one available. You'll be sold out very quickly by the sound of things. And you can put up the sold out even quicker than Meghan put her sold up on her website. I think there is. Where were we with Meghan? She is hawking. Of course, she could, but she's not prepared to do the hard yards. She just
Well,
wants
I
people.
think that this is the perfect transition into the Harry and Meghan's alleged meeting with the king,
Yeah.
at the beginning of July. Uh, clearly there's an ulterior motive there. And in my opinion, it's Harry's and Meghan's decline. Their Q score is what we call it in Hollywood. Their popularity score has taken such a nosedive in the last 6 years. Commercially, reputationally, Harry and Meghan need a little royal magic for them to continue to try to commercialize that proximity to the British royal family. I think it's less about family relationships. Otherwise, Thomas Markle would have received a phone call within the last few weeks, and more about Harry and Meghan continuing to milk the monarchy.
Yeah, and she puts up an Instagram post saying whatever with again back views of the children, and it all again just looks contrived. And of course, why are they doing it? Because of course they know that William and Catherine have done it, so they have to put something out. And it just theirs just looks tacky. Now, of course, the children are hugging Harry. Well, that's a lovely in theory, but
And
again,
so one of them, of course, is barefoot. Do these children own
yeah.
shoes?
Well, clearly not. And looking like street urchins. No, that's a bit harsh. But again, they always look as it all looks slightly unkempt and a bit higgledy-piggledy. But that's in contrast. But that may be a deliberate, in sharp contrast to the way that the Wales's shots tend to be not
Glossy,
necessarily posed,
glossy,
but more
glossy.
a sort of a photographer coming in and taking the picture, and so it's a very different vibe.
But
So
let's talk about the contradictions there,
y-
because then Meghan's trying to sell us this royal brand while her children are wearing dirty t-shirts, running around barefoot at Disneyland, and clearly don't own a hairbrush. So it's that lack of consistency when it comes to messaging yet again here with the Sussexes.
well, yes, and now they're coming. I hope that Harry was coming here for the Invictus Games, and there is talk, and I haven't had it confirmed, that he wants to make his announcement at Villa Park. Now, that's interesting because we know that William is a big Villa fan, and he's been photographed there having a big thing. Villa Park in Birmingham, where the host city for the Invictus Games next year, and there was talk. Now, I have no idea whether this is confirmed, whether it's just internet tittle tattle, but maybe Villa Park will be a venue. But at the moment, it's undergoing redevelopment, so I don't know where they would be. Obviously, one of the rooms maybe, but I would be surprised. But again, if he does, then that would absolutely look like a sort of cheap shot across the bows and say, "Look, I'm at Villa Park. It's not all about you when it comes to this place." And I hope that if they are going to meet the king, that it's strictly private. And what they have to make sure happens is nothing is leaked to any of their presses so that the royal family believe that these private visits now can be conducted with that degree of privacy that should be respected, and if they want to build trust again with the royal family. Because if within 6 weeks stories come out, then they're toast.
Well,
That would be my take on it.
I agree. I also, here's my thing. I'm incredibly disappointed. I understand that King Charles has cancer and these are his grandchildren, but it was just a month ago that Meghan sent a Catherine troll, a Catherine critic, somebody that harasses the Princess of Wales and her children on social media, an as ever goodie box, which I think is cruel. Meghan is not as dumb as she likes to play when it comes to associations. This is a person that spends a lot of time harassing Catherine on the internet, and Meghan basically is endorsing that behavior with free as ever goodies. You know, I also will remember forever that weeks before Catherine, we were told Catherine was going in for lower abdominal surgery, which inevitably we know turned into cancer. Omid Scobie, an ally of Harry and Meghan, who collaborated on Finding Freedom, says in Endgame that King Charles and Princess Catherine are the ones behind the race row. So I don't think that Meghan has earned her place back into a royal household and under the same roof as the British royal family. And I also agree with some of our viewers, some of our commentators that are some of our viewers, I should say, that have written me and said they feel like Meghan is using the children as a human shield so she isn't held accountable for her actions. You know,
Well,
go ahead.
uh, yeah, in a way, that's exactly the point, because she's using the children, playing on the emotional um, sensibilities of the king, and because of, as you say, he's recovering from cancer, he's aware of his own
Well,
mortality,
yeah, we're
and
told that he's living with cancer, like that
yeah,
he's living with it.
and so he would like to make sure, like many families, that the chance to sort of repair any fractured relationship and sort of be happy that he's done his best to make sure the family are together again. And this is something that goes on with lots of different families that may have um, problems, that someone says, right, in the end, let bygones be bygones. But as we know, there will need to be some proof in the pudding to make sure that they can be trusted. Or is it just a means to find more material that if Meghan's then got a little something to write in a book? I don't know. So maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but I would just hope that if they are coming, that it is done very, very low key, and that basically we see Harry. We, of course, have seen Meghan at Invictus events, but it's always with her at the centre stage, to the distraction, I think, of the people who it's really about. Yes, she's there to promote, but we know when she's walking her stuff at these occasions, make sure you look at me and no one else.
And
So
we're getting play by plays of her outfit that she's wearing. Well, like, I don't care what you're wearing.
mhm,
Tell me about the wounded warrior next to you.
yeah.
Tell me about his sacrifices in life. I don't care how much your dress costs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things that the Princess of Wales says. Even though we know she's a clothes horse, and in the sense she's a great shop window, sometimes
What an unfortunate reference.
uh, or clothes
Clothes
horse.
horse. Yeah.
That's a very standard phrase. It means she
I I know,
the
I know,
struts.
I know. I would have gone with supermodel, but okay.
No, a clothes horse. Well, that's probably
She's a
slightly
walking
old-fashioned.
billboard. She is. She is a walking
Yeah,
billboard.
and it's a clothes horse, and she is, and she struts it
You
and brings it
didn't
off
even
back.
notice that I was wearing her dress at Trooping.
Well, look, I'm a bloke. Uh, I sort of, I knew it was a red one with hearts, wasn't it? It
Yes,
had
yes.
hearts all over it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, terrific you look too, but whether I do not, I don't tell me what she was wearing at Ascot. It was a bright yellow thing. She stood out,
Yeah.
but I have no idea who designed it. But all I know is it was camera ready.
Yeah.
And that was a point of how good a PR opportunity it was. And then we obviously saw some stuff coming up from the Sussexes. But when she comes, and it's not long now before the visit, I think it's not this week, it's the week after next, maybe, that she's there due to be in town. I'm really not. I want them to be very low key. And
Yeah.
okay, if Harry goes to a well child function, happy to see him doing his thing. If he goes to any others of the charities he's still involved in, more than happy. But I don't want to see parading Meghan and the children. But so how are they going to manage that? Because we've never seen them front on, have we?
No, well, we have in the Netflix docu-series when they were a lot younger, if the price is right, Rupert. But here's my argument. If the royal family truly inflicted the level of harm Harry and Meghan have alleged over the years, why is reconciliation such a priority? That's the question I think a lot of people are asking. Their continued pursuit of meetings with the family they have publicly criticized creates a confusing and contradictory message.
What may be coming from the king? You've got to look. There may be two sides to this. Let's talk. Maybe would they stay in Buckingham Palace? If I'm not mistaken, Buckingham Palace is undergoing serious renovations.
That's
Uh,
exactly what I thought. I was like
yeah,
under renovation, and we're
yeah,
heading into the season where I
yeah,
actually think that they allow tourists to
yeah,
walk through it.
exactly. Because they're out of, all the garden parties have happened. It's the summer holidays or this time, so there's normally an exhibition. But as far as I'm aware, and that's why the king doesn't actually live there now. because of the renovations to the place.
Well, and he doesn't
And
want to live there, but yeah, I don't think he'll ever live there.
no, no, and should he? Kensington, Palace is just round the corner, and
Yeah.
that's where he's been for some time. So where they go and stay, it will be interesting if that is the case, where they will be put up, and the idea that from a security point of view, he was all worried about sort of in and out from the. Why should he be under any more threat than anyone else? Explain that to me is what I don't understand. Yes, he is a high profile person, and there does need to be, just because of the nature of the
Because of
family.
his own, because they're the actions of his own consequences,
Yeah,
Rupert. Who goes around bragging that they killed 25 Taliban?
yeah. Well, exactly. So he's created some of the problem. So he will have some degree of security. And I'd have to say the security will be as good as it possibly could be in the circumstances. There are people out there who will try and do something. Andrew's had problems. Well, he's had serious problems, but security issues up in Sandringham. So there are going to be issues. But say they go to Balmoral, no one would see them. But would Meghan like to go to Balmoral or one of those, the
That's what I
Scottish?
had a very well respected um, contact of the royal family said to me. If they really wanted to do something discreet and the ultimate objective was reconciliation, it would have been quietly at Balmoral. It wouldn't be in the middle of the of a London summer when all of the headlines being generated out of Montecito are of Meghan's failed business ventures.
Yeah, and it will probably fall just at the same time as Catherine will be seen at Wimbledon, because Wimbledon starts next week and finishes 2 weeks after that. And of
And
course,
isn't Serena there again this
yes,
year? And
yes, she's playing in a
Meghan
single.
has been there to see Serena. Would Meghan have the
Oh,
audacity to attend a game and say
well,
she's there to support her friend Serena, but we really know she's just there for the photographs?
what can I say? I don't think Wimbledon will be over enamored because certainly her visits previously created quite a lot of complications for the organisers. Obviously
Can you expand on that?
probably not.
Oh.
Uh,
Well,
but
what were
I,
the rumors? The rumors were that she was difficult to deal with, correct?
yeah, difficult in that where she wanted privacy around her, whereas everybody else, particularly on the outside courts,
Mm-hmm.
you have to go and take your seat. But she sort of, I think, wanted cleared away around her so
Yeah.
that it could all be about her. Even so, she didn't want to have the general public, because if where the reserved seating is, there will be somebody who's paid good money, probably one row behind. And I'm told there might have been some rumors about some that sort of behavior going on.
I've heard
Now,
that.
Serena,
And she didn't want pictures of her taken, and people were like, "You're in a public place."
yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, everyone's got their cameras out at Wimbledon. It's par for the course. And if you're sitting at courtside, what are you going to do? You're going to take a photograph. Well, how are they going to stop people doing that? I mean, you silly girl. That's just not possible to do. But I mean, I'm going to be working at Wimbledon next week. Really looking forward to it, as usual. William, I'm sure Catherine will probably turn up finals weekend. I don't know how many times but it was a big moment last year because Charlotte was there and they saw a great final. And I'm sure we will see her. It was sort of one of her first sort of big outings when she was back at Wimbledon. So I'm sure, given her role within the All England and tennis and croquet club, that she'll be there sometime. But of course, if Meghan's in town, what will be the counter PR story to Meghan being flashed all over, Catherine being flashed all over the newspapers of her greeting tennis players? But it is interesting Serena's coming back. I think it's dividing the tennis community
Mm.
because she's 44, and have watched her from the moment she arrived on the scene. She transformed the women's game. An amazing talent with her sister Venus, and coming from the background they had and working their way up, and the sheer raw power that she played the game with. But now she's 44. She says she wants her children to see her playing tennis, which is a perfectly laudable thing. But actually, I want to remember her in her pomp when she just walloped everybody off the court like no other player, transforming the game of tennis. And she will be coming into the championship seriously undercooked. And I know when this is not a sports podcast, but from
Sometimes it
with my
is.
sport,
Sometimes it
but
is.
I'm putting my sporting hat on. She'll be coming in undercooked. Why don't we want to just remember her
At her
at
height.
a height where, and it's a bit like the Tiger Woods conundrum.
Oh, yeah.
Do we want to remember him at his height rather than now the shadow of his former self? He's not going to be as competitive as he was, but when he transformed the game. Serena Williams and Tiger Woods both transformed their respective sports, and I want to remember her doing what she did. And her finals with her sister were always quite a complicated affair because there's obviously a lot going on emotionally. But when she was playing anybody else, my goodness me, she just was the ultimate competitor. But obviously, it'd be interesting if she's there. I think she might not get to the second week, so Meghan may not be in town. So it might mean that there won't be a need to nip down to SW19 to watch her friend Serena Williams play.
Ah, that's good to know. Oh, that's why you're our sports insider. I did see somebody in the comments say this week that, or last week, I should say, that I predicted in September that the king wouldn't see Harry. I always play out both scenarios when I talk about this stuff. I say if they do, oh, if they show up, why are they showing up? If they don't, if they don't have the meeting, why are they not having the meeting? Um, I think ultimately, from a PR standpoint, I would always say that I believe Harry and Meghan are a liability to the future of the monarchy. And I think that the royal family should keep their distance. But I'm also not a psychic. You know what I mean?
Well, we don't know. And whatever's going on, and maybe there is just this Harry saying, like to see you, Dad.
Mm.
You know,
But
I,
you,
I'm
but you don't think instinctually that there might be an ulterior motive there?
I don't know, but for instance, my son from America, he's flying over next week. I'm going to meet up with him. I'm delighted, but
Well,
I'm sort of having to jug. Wait, no, but I'm
he
juggling my
didn't call
diary.
your wife the wicked stepmother. He didn't, accuse you of jeopardizing his safety by pulling security because you have a half black baby.
But anyway, well, anyway, but I'm juggling my diary, and
Yeah.
I'm delighted because he's making a flying visit with his wife, and we'll find a way. So I'm not comparing myself to Harry and Prince Charles, the King, but families try and find a way. It's not always easy, but the King's diary is obviously managed. Where will he be? What would his normal agenda be that week? I think he's due, and obviously I bow to people who might know, but he spends a week in Scotland, and normally it's about that time when he's at Holyrood Palace and doing events up there. And then he goes on, and the idea is then they go on to their summer holiday in the Scotland. So that tends to be the traditional way it works. So will he be in Scotland? So that's why I think they should be going up to Balmoral or wherever, which one of Prince Charles's the king's houses. Well, he's got the castle next to Balmoral. Go and stay there. It's the most heavenly part of the world. And if it's a gorgeous summer's day, walks, fun, just perfect, quiet, away from the prying eyes, it would be the most perfect place to play a few days in a British summer. It can also rain up there, and when it rains, boy, you know it. But I would suggest that that's part of the magic of Scotland
Yeah.
and why I love it, and lots of other people love it. So, and they'd be away from the prying eyes. Because if they're at Windsor, there will be photographers looking to try and get snaps of them. There will be, if they're in London, again,
Oh,
every time.
if he puts them up at Windsor, my sacred space, if the king puts them up at Windsor, I don't think you want to hear. You're going to hear curse words from me, Rupert. I'm going to call you and I'm going to say bad words on the phone.
Right. Okay. Well, whatever. We will see what happens, how it plays out. Nothing has been confirmed as yet. Are we still in the speculating mode that
Obviously.
sort of rumor mills are being created, but presumably the rumor mills are coming from one source and one source only?
All right. Well, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Thanks so much for watching. Rupert, wear some sunscreen at Wimbledon. I look forward to your
No,
coverage.
Wimbledon?
Wi
Where did the tea Wimbledon?
Wimbledon,
You just said
Wimbledon, Wimbledon, Wimbledon.
Wimbledon. We have that's our ended up. It's Wimbledon. No, it's
Buckingham,
Wimbledon.
Buckingham, Buckingham, Buckingham.
Buckingham. This is our weekly pronunciation lesson for Kinsey. Wimbledon. I was looking forward to that. I'll probably speak to you before Wimbledon starts, but looking forward to another week at Wimbledon. But obviously, hopefully, I don't turn into a bright red tomato and got sunburn because it's very hot in here, and the air conditioning in my office is not working. So time for a shower. Too much information.
Just sweating it up for the ladies. Thanks, Rupert. We'll see you again next week.